Governor Andy Beshear makes the 2024 TIME100 Next list.
Horse racing fans from across the country attend Keeneland's annual fall meet.
Sister Cindy returns to UK on her Ho No Mo tour.
Coalition for Palestine at UK hosts a vigil for 1 year of genocide.
Man arrested for rape, strangulation of a UK student headed to grand jury and denied release from house arrest. I'm Giana Gallo.
And I'm Owen Chesemore, and this is Catching Up with the Colonel. The opinions expressed on this podcast are the speaker's own and do not uphold the opinions expressed by the Kentucky Colonel.
Governor Andy Beshear makes the 2024 TIME100 Next list. According to Time magazine, the 100 Next list was created in order to showcase influential leaders of the modern day. Beshear was named in the Leaders category, including 18 other prominent government officials worldwide. Beshear's ability to win the 2023 governor's election as a Democratic candidate in a deeply red state for his second term earned his name on the list, according to Time magazine. Owen, what are your thoughts on this big announcement?
It's definitely like an exciting thing for Kentucky, I think, to see someone that we know on the list who represents our state. I also think it makes sense because with all the things going on this year with the election and a lot of buzz around who Kamala Harris was going to pick as her VP candidate, I think Beshear was on the list and a lot of people thought he had a good chance. And so I thought that was a really interesting development. So I think he's been definitely a big part of this year.
I completely agree. Again, there were 18 other prominent governors in this list, but another governor was Wes Moore, the governor of Maryland, and then Laura Trump, which, I don't know, I just feel I'm not a Kentucky native, but I'm pretty proud that my/Kentucky's governor made this list. I feel like Times is a huge privilege and like honor to have your name in it. And I remember when I was young, I'd always get the Time magazines whenever elections would happen. I remember seeing Mitt Romney and Barack Obama's faces on it. And now that his name is going to be in this magazine and articles, I think is so exciting.
I agree. And it's also interesting to see, like, now that he's getting more national recognition, it's interesting to see what's going to happen to him going forward.
Right. Will Andy run for president?
Yep. Horse racing fans from across the country attend Keeneland's annual fall meet. Keeneland's official 2024 fall meet opening day began on October 4th and will continue through October 26th, with gates opening at 11 a.m. There are no races held on Mondays or Tuesdays. Giana, what do you love about Keeneland the most?
So again, I feel like this is a recurring thing where I always say I'm not from these parts, but I have never seen horse racing before, or at least to my knowledge. I don't really remember if I did, but this is such a Kentucky staple. And obviously you have Churchill Downs, which is the big, Kentucky Derby. But I feel like Keeneland, I love it there. It's just so Kentucky, which I don't, the people there, how dressed up.
Yeah.
Just also the money, like there is so much money that people are walking around with where you're like, I'm just a college student.
Right.
And you are betting a lot of money on this one horse. But it's just so fun too. And it's such a good experience for college students and adults and families. I just love how well versed it is. It's really fun. What about you?
I agree. I don't naturally gravitate towards loving horses a lot, but it's just such a fun part of Kentucky culture. And it's also got those fun aspects of going with your friends, seeing horses at this kind of cool environment. And then also just being able to dress up is super fun. So I think there's a lot of cool things that you get to do. And then obviously Scholarship Day is a really fun thing to go to. So definitely a fun thing to experience if anyone hasn't yet.
Yeah. Have you ever bet on a horse?
I have not. Have you?
Okay, so this was something I was very nervous to do because, again, you see all of these older people approach the booths, knowing what they're saying, rattling off the tongue, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm saying. I just want the horse with the blue color to win.
Right.
Number 4 wearing the blue.
Yeah.
But there's win, play, show. I still don't really know what that means. I get it now, but it took a lot of researching. but I have bet on a horse, and it was my first bet. I think it was $3.
Mm-hmm.
Very low bet. And
Right.
it won. The horse won.
There you go.
So I think I walked out with like $40 in my pocket.
That's
and I bought
crazy.
myself dinner.
And for only $3 too.
Yes, it was I don't know how it works. It probably wasn't $3, but it was like $3 to $5.
Yeah.
And I won. I felt like a
You
millionaire.
scored. There
Yeah.
you go.
But
That's
I'll never
awesome.
do it again.
That's fair.
That was
That's
it.
fair. You got to do it once, but after that, that's it. Yeah.
Sister Cindy visited campus on Monday, October 7th as part of her Ho No Mo tour, in which she preaches the importance of abstinence while in college. Here's some background on Sister Cindy Smock. She's an evangelical preacher who's been preaching on campuses since 1977. Her sermons went viral on TikTok in 2021 as she continues to visit colleges. She's a member of the Campus Ministry USA organization, and founded by her late husband, Judd Smock, the organization aims to educate college students on the teachings of the Bible. During her time at UK, she rewarded students who answered her questions with a signed Ho No Mo button. Around halfway through her sermon, she was interrupted by the UK Police Department. Cindy was offered an ultimatum: either leave the property or head to the designated area for on-campus preachers. Students cheered and chanted Ho No Mo as Cindy continued her preaching, and UK PD continued to monitor the event. Owen, Sister Cindy has been to campus since I was a freshman. She's a very familiar face around UK's campus. What do you think of her sermons and her preachings?
It's definitely interesting because whenever I see her, I'm always wondering, is she actually serious or is she like doing some kind of satire thing? Because it definitely seems like it could be taken either way, which probably means it's really good satire because it's difficult to tell how serious she is. But I know a lot of students enjoy it. I'm sure there's some who find it a bit appalling, to say the least, like given some of her comments and kind of the name of the tour. But it's definitely an interesting thing. I know that the last one she did went on for a pretty long time. And so I think, and she got a lot of people to show up. So it's definitely like a engaging thing for UK students.
Yeah, I know this event that she held was 4 hours.
Wow.
So she was there preaching for 4 hours. And I agree. I know throughout the article, a couple of the interviews, one of the guys realized that Sister Cindy, it's more satirical and it's just kind of her entertaining the crowd. But I agree, like for freshmen or for people who have no idea who Sister Cindy is, walking by, the things she is saying might come across as offensive to you. So I think it is kind of judging, is this satire? Is this not? Because the things you're saying you might not agree with. And one of how she started her sermon was, quote, "We'll get into some good old-fashioned slut shaming."
Wow.
And the crowd started clapping and laughing, and that's where I think like that would be my judgment call of like, oh, this is for entertainment.
Right.
And I know a lot of people just wanted the buttons of Ho No Mo and all of the buttons that she offered.
Yeah. And there's also the fact that we do have people who sometimes come onto campus and they have those massive banners and they're screaming at people and they are serious. And that reaction tends to be like a big protest or students who kind of like swarm around them. But Cindy has a totally different response. So I think that reflects that it's really just satire and meant to kind of like engage students and make them laugh.
Yeah, and when UKPD stepped in and was like, you got to get out of here.
Yeah.
The crowd started chanting Ho No Mo, right? Like, so I would have to assume she's a big hit on campus and people like Sister Cindy. So I guess it was good to see her face and hear all that she had to say because people really liked all that she had to say.
Yeah, I agree. Coalition for Palestine at UK hosts a vigil for 1 year of genocide. The vigil was held outside of the William T. Young Library, and it took place on October 7th, with over 100 individuals in attendance, as well as 15 UK Police Department officers on site. The vigil included a large piece of paper with thousands of hand-drawn poppies on it, posters and signs with phrases and photos of the martyrs made by the coalition members, books, backpacks, flowers, and small candles. If you want to gather more information about the vigil, Please be sure to read more at kykernel.com. It had a lot of interesting interviews spread throughout the story. We want to issue a trigger warning for this next segment. There is content that may be triggering for some audiences. It contains substance of rape and sexual violence. If you find that content triggering, we ask you to skip this segment.
22-year-old Lexington native Chase McGuire was arrested for the rape and attempted strangulation of a UK student. McGuire was charged with 5 counts of first-degree rape, 4 counts of third-degree sodomy, 1 count of third-degree sexual abuse, and 1 count of first-degree strangulation attempted on September 25, 2024. He had his case bound to the grand jury and was denied release from home confinement by a Fayette County district judge on October 10th. As mentioned, the case will be sent to the grand jury where McGuire could be indicted, and if he is, he could face trial. The conditions of McGuire's bond require him to appear at every scheduled court appearance, refrain from violating any local, state, or federal law, and avoid any contact with the alleged victim or complaining witnesses, according to the conditions of release and judicial decision document. An interpersonal protection order, also known as an IPO, was also placed on McGuire that prohibits him from going near the victim's residence or the University of Kentucky.
If you or someone you know has been affected by sexual assault, call 859-257-3574 to contact the Violence Intervention and Prevention Center for free and confidential support.
If you want to gather any more information about these articles, be sure to check out our website at kykernel.com and follow us on all social media platforms. That's X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Spotify.
Thanks for catching up with the Kernel. We'll see you next week.